Welcome back, everyone, to the Dental Pipeline Podcast. As mentioned at the end of our most recent episode, we decided to split this content into two separate episodes, this being part two of this topic. So, without further ado, we're going to jump right into the last two pillars of a competitive dental school application experience version. So we're going to be talking about leadership followed by research. So here we go. Hope you enjoy. Russell, you talked a little bit about the importance of leading one of these service opportunities. I think that just jumps us right into leadership in general, and why is leadership something dental schools look for?
Well, kind of like I talked about a little bit, we're going to be community leaders as dentists. People look up to those that have a lot of education in a society. And as a dentist, you've had a ton of education. You've had your 12 years of high school, you've had 4 years of undergrad, and then you've had 4 years on top of that with dental school. So you know a lot. And that is something, whether you like it or not, that's people are going to look to you as a source, as a leader in your community. And so if you can get these leadership experiences early on, you start developing that leadership quality. And then on top of that, most dentists own their own practice. I think it's over 80% or over 90% of dentists are in private practice. And I think it's trending downwards now with DSOs and other organizations. But private practice dentists own a business, and you have to be a leader if you own your own business. So starting from a young age and developing these leadership skills is super important. I mean, I'm not great at being a leader, but I've tried to put myself in positions that have helped me develop some leadership skills. And I've seen that it's been very helpful, even just here in dental school. It's helpful when you do group projects, you can kind of have you and a couple of other students can help lead that project, and it helps everything run a lot smoother. So if it's not for the future when you're actually a dentist, focus on it so it makes your life in dental school a little easier too. But yeah, that's kind of why dental schools like to see that you've had leadership experiences, because you're going to be a leader in one way or another for the rest of your life if you're a dentist. So, Sam, you want to talk a little bit about how we can go about getting these leadership experiences and maybe some of the areas that we should try to focus on and where we can look for?
Most definitely. In undergrad, there are just so many opportunities to jump into a leadership role. That doesn't mean you have to be president of the organization, but there are plenty of chair positions that you can take, whether that's chair of social networking, whether that's chair of finance or the treasurer or whatever. There are plenty of offices, if they don't already exist, that can be made when you get involved in the club. In our school, we were relatively small, and for that reason, we had the opportunity to create kind of these positions for people as they needed leadership. So if that's you, then see if you can't figure out a way to create a leadership position. And I guarantee you, the president of these clubs aren't going to be like, no, like, there's no way we're bringing you on as treasurer. There's only 10 people in a group. They want you to succeed, or they should want you to succeed as much as the next person. So go in there, ask, right? Ask about club leadership opportunities, even if that means creating a new position so that way you have some leadership, something you can be in charge of within that organization. And these are found in fraternities, sororities, and different clubs. And let's say you get to a school where there's not a pre-dental club. Actually, recently, Russell and I have been looking up a lot of universities to send our podcast to, trying to find pre-dental clubs who we can reach out to. And some we've noticed a lot don't. Even some of the biggest universities don't have a pre-dental club or society. So if that's you, and you feel like there's not a club, every page I go to for a university, there's always an option, create a club. And you can go in and create a club, and guess what? You can be the president of that new club and just try and invite other people. And that'd look even better because now you just started something. You weren't just joined something that was already made, but you started something new. So get in there, get in early. It doesn't have to be dental related. I know, Russell, you were in the chemistry club, but we had some friends that were even like they created a spike ball club. There was pickleball clubs. You could do a Nintendo club, whatever you're interested in. Create a club or join a club that really interests you, and seek out to find leadership opportunities. Because, like service, it doesn't need to be always related to dentistry. It just needs to be related to something you're passionate about, and it needs to give you opportunities to help people around you coordinate and create something new, create something that benefits others.
Yeah. And on top of that, some of the other opportunities that you can look for, if you excel in school, look for or look into becoming a tutor or look into becoming a teacher assistant. If there's a professor that you just really admire and you look up to them for what they've done in their life and just how they taught and whatnot, go and ask them if you can be one of their teacher assistants. It's a really good opportunity for a letter of rec if you can get a professor to write you a letter of rec, especially if they know you well. And they'll get to know you very well if you're a teacher's assistant. Both Sam and I did some teacher assisting, and you get paid for it most likely. And it's just super fun to get to know somebody who is so well read and so accomplished. And it's going to look really good on your application. So this kind of moves us on to some of the common leadership mistakes. Like Sam said, don't chase titles. That's not going to be the best option for you. If you can, I mean, hopefully you've already developed some charismatic characteristics. So when you're interviewing for a leadership role, throw out if they don't have a position for you, throw out that you're willing to do extra work to take off the load from other people. And then a club might be willing to make you another position for you. And then joining too many clubs is not super beneficial. Try to pick a couple. Just focus on a couple of different clubs that you can be a part of that you can actually make a difference. Kind of like we were talking about with the service. You want to make a difference in the world. And this starts in small areas like in a club. And so once again, don't become president just because it looks good on an application. Any leadership position looks good. So president doesn't need to be the end all be all. And then once again, don't let your grades suffer. Leadership isn't just about getting into dental school because you're going to be a dentist in the future. So you need these skills to be developed, and you don't only get them as a president.
I think one way you can also excel in a leadership position is within research. I know Russell briefly mentioned that when you TA for a professor, it usually results in a relationship, a very good relationship, where they feel comfortable and are willing to write you a letter of recommendation, but that letter of recommendation becomes more than just words. It becomes a way to depict that relationship and an understanding of who you are. And I think another key way to get a good letter of recommendation from a professor is doing research. And we're going to talk about maybe some of the values. We won't hit on the why, how, and the what's in this one in particular because it's just kind of interwoven throughout the dialogue on this topic. But it's important to remember that letters of rec will be huge in considering you for an interview. And if you can have a letter of rec from someone because you were their TA, great. If you can have a letter of rec from another professor because you did research with them, even better. So you have those two. And most dental schools require at least two letters of rec from professors science professors that you took classes from, and then they also recommend a dentist. So if you go back and as you're listening to this episode, you'll recognize that we're trying to give you tips on how to get a good letter of rec, but then also ultimately have a wonderful application as you dive in for dental school. So in order to do research, first you need to find kind of a mentor, someone to work with. And most often not, that's the professor. Try and do research with a professor you took a class with that you did well in and that you get along with really well. If you look up to this individual, it's going to make working with them much easier. And not all research is paid, but some is. If it's paid or unpaid, Doesn't matter. It looks amazing when you go to apply. So make sure to go do some research. And a good way to get that started is reach out to that professor. Most professors, especially if they have a PhD, have to be actively publishing and doing research. So go find that professor, talk to them, see what they're working on, and if they're not working on anything, see if there's something they would be interested in working on. I bet they have some ideas rolling around in there, and kind of have them be your mentor as you start to do research, and find something that you're interested in. Obviously, the more dental related, the better. But if it's not dental related, that is completely fine. Schools just want to see that you are able to produce content and also interpret content that's research oriented and research related.
Yeah, so I'm going to list off a couple of things you can look into to get into some research. So, one of the programs you can look into is the National Institutes of Health, or NIH, summer internship program. So, typically, if you have a little bit of research experience, you're going to be able to get into something like this much easier. When you're looking for research in an NIH summer internship program, try and focus on something that kind of relates to your major, because then if you have some background in that, you'll be more likely to get it as well. And then there's Summer Health Professions Education Program. There's the NSF Research Experience for undergraduates, or R. There's dental school summer research programs. Some dental schools offer this, some don't. This is good to look into, especially once you get into a dental school, if you might want to specialize. And then there's the NIDCR summer programs. That's the National Institute of Dental and Craniofacial Research. So something like this during a summer would be really good and look amazing on an application. The most likely place that you're going to find research is going to be on your own university's campus, because you already have this networking, these ties to the professors, and it doesn't have to only be summer research. So you can do this research throughout your whole undergrad education. This is what I did. Sam had some networking ties to where he was able to get a research position at a different university for a summer, and it was a pretty well paid job. And I did an unpaid research position at our university, and I was just doing some biomaterials and other chemistry research at our school. And I had a really good opportunity that I would definitely recommend. If you can get into research, try and take it somewhere to present, whether that be just at your own school or whether that be at a national conference. The bigger, the better, but any kind of presentation is better than none. Because this you get to put onto your CV, and this will go with you no matter where you go. And this looks really good if you have presented research. This looks really good for your future as well.
I think research is it's just fundamental. Kind of all these things. I think it ties back to the fundamental character that dental schools are looking for. They want individuals that are intellects and that they can read literature from research and produce literature that's research driven. They want individuals that are service oriented, that look out for others. They want people that love dentistry, that are passionate about the dental profession. They want leaders. So what they're looking for more in these experiences is just evidence of who you are as an individual, because those are the types of individuals that succeed in the dental profession. And your research story is going to look a little different, just like how Russell and I have different research stories. I spent 2 summers at a different university, kind of on an internship, working on a new medical device. And Russell was able to work with biomaterials. Like, we had these different experiences, and yet they both kind of ended in the same result, in that they changed the way we think, they changed the way we analyze and process information, and ultimately just have changed who we are and more aligned us with what the dental profession needs.
As a clinician, as a doctor, this has already been pounded into my head over the first year and a little bit into the second year. Research is ever changing, and our profession as dentists is ever changing. And so, if you don't stay caught up on research, you're going to fall behind, and you're going to fall behind pretty quick, especially now that AI is coming out. All of these magnificent transitions in dentistry are coming out. If you don't stay caught up on it, yeah, you're really going to fall behind. And so being able to understand the process of research is going to help you to be able to understand what is the best and what you can implement into your practice. So, this isn't only important for getting into dental school, but it's also important for your future as a dentist, as a clinician, because research is huge in the world of dentistry. Whether you're a part of it or not, it's going to shape the way dentistry is in the future.
Thanks for adding that, Russ. It's super important, knowing that it's something that will be used throughout your entire career and probably in every aspect of your life. Knowing how to decipher what's real information and what's not, and how to apply it to your career and others is crucial. So yeah, I love that. And just one last side note as we're wrapping up here, we would love for you all to record amazing notes when you get in to these different extracurricular activities. It'll be so beneficial for your application. Record keeping in general is just a good habit to get into because it allows you to analyze the past in a way that will benefit your future. So make sure you're recording notes. When you do record your notes, I think you can just use a spreadsheet. Russell and I have used spreadsheets. But when you're recording these notes, include the title of the activity, the hours you did, the names of the individuals you worked with and their contact information, include start dates and end dates, and write after each experience what you observed that day. That'll be super beneficial as you look back when you're filling out your application. And those start dates, end dates are crucial because, like we mentioned previously, when you're plugging it into your application, it's going to be how many hours per week. So knowing the total number of hours, but also when you started and when you ended that experience will allow you to compute that. And we'll finish with one little quote given by Aldo Leopold. He was an American writer and philosopher. He said, "Keeping records enhances the pleasure of the search and the chance of finding order and meaning in these events." And this totally applies to dental school. When you're keeping records for your dental application, when you look back in there, you're going to find pleasure in the search of finding the things you're going to incorporate in your application, and it will allow you to find order and meaning in those events when you fill out your personal statement, when you plug it into your events and everything. So yeah, that's all we have for today. Anything else, Russell, as we're getting ready to wrap up this episode?
Yeah. Well, just stay sweet, but not too sweet because we don't want anybody getting any cavities.